Hello and welcome to SideQuest episode number 62. The
62?
DCP Assemble episode.
Hey, I like it. DCP Assemble.
Assemble.
Like the heroes that we are.
Squad assemble. You'd be, I guess you'd be Thor, right? Given your
It's
heritage,
got to be that.
right?
That is my character that I've been playing as well. But yeah, I would have to be Thor. Otherwise,
I want to be the Hulk.
Oh,
I be the
Why
Hulk?
are I've been playing as the Hulk? How?
Oh no,
dare
you're
you?
Black Widow.
Damn, I don't know how to take that.
I love Black Widow. She's my favorite character.
Yeah, saying it like
I
she's
would
awesome,
take it.
but I want to be the Hulk. But also, Black Widow's pretty badass too.
I got on Hulk.
You haven't even been playing the game. I could take Hulk at any time.
I've been waiting to hear what you guys think. Honestly, like I want to know if I should buy this game. So,
Are we going to find out
Should I buy
in
this
this?
game?
We're going to find out in this episode of SideQuest.
Yeah.
we will.
All right. Well, Eric's, what's your thoughts on Avengers? You've been playing a lot. I think you've got the most time logged.
Yeah, so I have been playing it pretty much nonstop. I have been doing the Destiny style, the MMO style grind, where it's all day, every day, because
Just
when you
completely
give me
max
gear,
out the content. You know, just
exactly,
you're done.
because when
Yeah.
you're like, there's a power level, and you know I've got to hit that power level. So I did it, got to the end, I've done all the content, and I've kind of got to the point where there is not much more for me to do right now. They obviously, they had a war table stream. Where are we? We're in a new week this week. Last week, the game launched last week. They had a war table stream on a Tuesday, which is obviously their launch stream, in which they spoke about the game. Then they spoke about some of their post-launch plans. So they do have plans to introduce some additional content soon after launch. So to be clear, there is not currently an end game in the game, short of grind to get to max power level. And
What
then
is
just
max
do
power?
Mission. So max power is 150.
Okay. What's max level?
Which you achieve. Max level is 50 and max power level is 150. So
Okay.
and once you get to level 50, you can unlock all the skills in your tree, and then you get to power level is done by like 130 gear drops at the highest. You can then boost into 140, and then paired with your artifact, it can boost you to 150.
Oh, okay.
I need you guys to slow down here because
Sure.
I saw the demo and this looked like a terrible game. But as soon as the game actually came out, I started hearing like really positive vibes about the game. Not over the moon, but like, hey, I'm actually having a lot of fun with this game. It's got a cool story to it.
Yeah.
I'm having fun playing as a character. So like, is the story good? How's the gameplay? Like, what's going on with this game that the demo was so bad, but people are actually having a positive experience?
Yeah, that's a really good point. So the demo painted a really poor picture of the game. I mean, admittedly, the demo was also, as we always know, like when it comes to betas, they're like a branched build from like much earlier. So the demo was like, I mean, the full game is buggy. The demo was really buggy and in a bad place. So, and it was a really weird thing.
And
to
also
do,
performance problems too, right? Like the demo had like crashes. It had just huge frame drops, which still have happened on the PC version today. But like for me, I've had very little frame drops on a 1080 Ti.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, they definitely seem to have like improved that a lot. And yeah, I think the reason the demo painted a bad picture is because they gave you a couple of hero missions, which are like your narrative things, and then they gave you a few Warzone missions to run and repeat. And obviously, because they were in the same environment, you ran it back to back, and it was just like, this is kind of dry. So now you fast forward to the actual game. It's almost like two completely separate games. You have a campaign experience, which is actually really fun. I mean, the story is only about 10 hours, if you kind of like blitz through it, and you just focus on just the story missions. But the story as like a Marvel story, like if you like your heroes, you like your Marvel stuff, and you kind of just want to play one of those like hero games, is actually really good.
Mm-hmm.
They obviously told an original story from the perspective of like Kamala Khan. Really, really cool story. Most of the missions, you have like quite a lot of these sort of like cinematic things. There's a couple of the missions which are the sort of sprinkled in, like go and defend this area or complete this boring objective. But for the most part, the campaign missions were a lot of fun. You take on the role of different characters, so you get to experience all the heroes throughout the story.
Throughout the story, you're kind of like switching between the characters.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was going to say that with like the, I think the campaign was surprising. Like I did not expect the campaign to be as good as it was, because I was thinking from playing the beta, I was like, it's just going to be okay, sure, some fan service here and there. But they actually wove a pretty great story through it that by the time I was finished, I was like, okay. I mean, if I had paid the full price for just the campaign, and I'm a fan of the Marvel's universe, I would be satisfied. Be like, oh, that was fun. Yeah, like they had a lot of Naughty Dog DNA where it was non-combat story type of stuff that was going on there, where you're walking around, you're talking, there's banter, you're collecting things, you're finding stuff around the world.
Was it weird not having the movie voice actors?
Initially, for like the first hour, in fact, in the beta, it was more weird. The beta, I was like, what the hell are these Avengers, man? And also the way they looked and all that. But then after I got into the main game and played for about an hour, I basically just accepted it, and it was great. Yeah. And for the most part, the voice acting was awesome. There's a few times where it was kind of like, that's a little strange, but they had a pretty star-studded cast also for voice acting. Yeah. But the campaign specifically, because for me it took like 10 to 12 hours to complete. I was actually surprised. I walked away thinking, wow, you could actually recommend this game on campaign alone if you're a fan of the Marvel's universe and you like kind of brawler, mash 'em, beat 'em up, button mashing type of combat. Because the combat is good and the campaign is definitely good. I gave it like a good 8 out of 10 for just campaign alone. But then obviously endgame is, one of those things where very subjective. And Eric's, why don't you continue on that subject?
Yeah. So I think that's one of those things, because it's almost like we were saying before, like it's almost two very different games that you could almost like drop one component. Like, the campaign in itself, like if you don't care about, say, like loot and grind and that kind of like stuff like that, and you just want to jump in and play it like a campaign experience, you definitely could. I mean, it's only really going to give you 10 to 12 hours, but I've played shorter campaigns before and I'm still fine with that.
You can also do the hero side quest though too. Like I didn't do any of the hero side quests. Well, no, I did a little bit, and I still clocked in 10 to 12 hours on that.
True. Yeah. They do have a few cutscenes. The hero side quests are definitely very different to the campaign in that you'll have like an intro cutscene and maybe just like a wrap up cutscene. But most of the missions in between are largely speaking more akin to like the kind of bog standard Warzone style missions where it's like go here, kill some mobs, do this kind of thing. And so it's very different to the kind of campaign, but it does still give you some more story, it gives you some more clarity and stuff.
Yeah.
But then obviously once you get to end game, because there's also different ways to experience the game as well. When you start right at the beginning, if you don't want to play the campaign, you can jump into the Avengers Initiative, which is just the post campaign stuff. You can basically just skip the campaign and jump straight into it if that's something you would rather just do. Then it gives you the option to kind of jump into it. But yeah, so post campaign is basically like, you go back, you look at your map, and you've got all these different missions. They rotate in and out. You have like you have a daily and a weekly structure. So you've got faction vendors that you can go and speak to on a daily basis. They've got little kind of like basically akin to sort of bounties. You can kind of go and just do things and complete them things. There's like a couple of repeatable villain sector missions, one every single day, so you can go back and refight some of the villains like Abomination, Taskmaster. I guess that's one of the things that sort of shows up for just how few big villains there are, because there's basically 4 bosses on cycle. It's Taskmaster, Abomination, the flying ship, and the walking robot thing. So there's basically 4. And then outside of that, obviously you then have the big world map, and that's broken into initially Warzone missions, which is a combination of either defend the point, kill loads of enemies, or like destroy some certain objectives. So those are pretty basic. They're kind of sort of standard, like if you were to like it something like Destiny, just standard like patrol missions, things like that. Yeah. There's nothing hugely exciting about them, but
yeah. Actually, Warframe is a good example of how it kind of feels with those missions, because you're like, you load into this thing to go do this mission, and it'll have like these basic objectives that you're kind of familiar with, and that it'll go from section to section to section, and that feels very Warframe-ish. I was actually kind of surprised. I was like, this feels, and also enemy types too, the way they show up, because like it feels like, just spawn in more of these guys, spawn in these bigger guys, spawn in these guys now. Very Warframe type of feel formula.
For that's a fair comparison. Yeah. And then once you like play through, so then there's one more tier to it. So that's the kind of stuff you'll see initially, and then when you play through, there's like, if you complete the post campaign chain, which is actually quite long. It's kind of they kind of pulled this annoying thing as well, where I mean, it makes sense if you're not trying to rush the game. But basically, the post campaign flows, you do some stuff for Shield, and then it involves going off and doing some vault missions, and then doing some other missions, and then there comes a point where it's like, by the way, you need to have completed every single one of the hero chains in order to progress. Which, obviously, if you want to complete them, that's fine. But on one hand, when you're like, and then obviously the kind of stopping point there, this is one of those things where I find so many people that do these games now, they do loads of things really well. and then they just put in one thing that just messes with the flow. And they did this thing because you get to the point where it's like, now complete all the hero missions. So you're like, okay, cool. So you go and do the first mission, all the hero missions. It's fine, normal mission. The interim, the middle mission that everybody has to do is go and use this hero for X period of time to accumulate a meter, like deal like 20,000 Odin force damage as Thor, or deal like, 10,000 power damage as Hulk. So basically it just means use the character for a while. Now, in all fairness, it doesn't take that long because you can take those characters into the training mode. So even if you haven't leveled them up, you can just go into Harm Room and you can do most of those characters in about 10 minutes. So it's not a huge setback, but it is one of those weird deviations where like, all right, I'm just trying to get towards some content. Now I've been forced to go and play as all the different characters just to tick off a box so I can go back. So that was one little annoying point. And then once you've done
that seems like a direct relationship between, look, we have this game with a story, but there's also kind of this game as a service kind of lingering to the side here, right?
Yeah.
They don't really want you. The message I get from it is that they don't want you to strictly be a main of one character if you want to complete all that stuff. Like they want you to have, your Thor, your Iron Man, your Hulk, and all that leveled up, or at least past a certain point. So you can't just go.
Well, how many characters are there?
6. 6.
Yeah.
6. Well, they want you to buy all the microtransactions for all 6 characters. They make 6 times the money if you're not a main.
So we'll get to microtransactions here in a second, because I obviously I see that's your one of the main grievances, and obviously a lot of people talking about it. But the lack of being able to just strictly be a main of one character can be a bit of annoyance, and I do agree with that. Yeah. But at the same time, you're playing as Marvel Avengers.
True.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you didn't create your Avenger.
No, definitely. And when you look at we'll touch on endgame content, like upcoming endgame content soon. But one of the structures for one of those pieces definitely hints on the fact they want you to be using your party. But just to kind of wrap up that endgame sort of stuff, like once you've done that chain, you then unlock the last thing that's currently your endgame, which are called Hive missions. So Hive missions are basically just multiple floors of what you've been fighting right now. So instead of loading into one thing where you're defending, you'll go into a Harm mission. You'll go to a Hive mission. You'll go in a building and you work down. Typically, the easy Hive missions are 4 floors. The other ones are 6 floors. So you go down different 6 floors, and they can be just randomly generated. It might be all right, floor number 1, kill all the enemies. Floor number 2, defend the objective. So it's just basically a way of just repackaging the same activities you've done. So it's not drastically different. And that is basically the crux. So that's basically the extent of what is currently available in game. That's where obviously you'll be doing your grinding, because you'll go back and repeat those activities. Higher level gear drops, you go back to your vendors, you buy that gear, you boost it. But that's as far as it goes right now.
Did you see any loot that was actually more than just, buff this stat or make your attacks hit harder or anything like that? Is there any unique legendaries that actually do some game-changing stuff?
For the most part, not that I've seen so far. I get the impression that might be tied to the exotic gear. So you've got legendary, then you've got exotic. And for the most part, the only exotics we've obtained have been our major artifacts. And their extent is you've got a buff you can click in the sticks, that kind of gives you something else. There are apparently other exotics in game. They must have a 0.001% drop rate, because basically nobody's seen them. So it's one of those kind of things where it's because there's only 3 or 4, I almost get the impression that maybe they're not supposed to be in game right now, and it might just be tied to the activities, and there's a kind of weird bug thing with
loot table bug.
Sure. So but yeah, from the stuff that I've got at the moment, it is largely speaking. I will say the one difference is that when I played the beta, I remember we spoke about this on the show after the beta, and I was like, oh yeah, the gear seems to be incremental stuff, doesn't seem to massively sort of change your build. And while that is true that it won't be oh, I put on this legendary and now I've got this insane new ability I didn't have before, you don't have that. But I will say that now that I've built characters and built builds, even some of the stat boosts with the things like that do drastically change. Not drastically, do change your builds to the point where if, for example, I've got some decent gauntlets now for my Thor, paired that with some of the pin particles that sort of shrink them, and I've got a nice setup now that because of the gear piece I've got, my heroic thunder ability does incredible damage. And if I didn't have these particular gear pieces, I wouldn't be able to do that damage. So in that respect, it does make an impact. It just doesn't feel as exciting as oh, yo, I got this Destiny exotic which has a crazy alien-like ability. So
a new ability.
Yeah.
So the gear doesn't give you new abilities, and it's not cosmetic. It's just it's a buff.
Stats, stat based, basically. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's like my biggest critique so far is that the end game loot is probably going to be, well, I guess not my biggest critique, but one of my critiques is that the end game loot I don't think is going to be actually interesting because A, it's not visually represented when you equip it, and B, it's only stat based. So those were the things that was one of the biggest things I walked away from the end game being like, okay, that's probably not going to be interesting in the long haul. And the second thing is the mission structures being monotonous. The combat itself is fun, like definitely fun. You get to feel like really you're an Avenger, and like each one has its own kit and loadout that feels unique to the Avenger that you're playing as. But the actual enemy variety, I think, is pretty small. It's almost like you basically go against Fallen in Destiny over and over and over.
Yeah, pretty
you know
much.
What I mean?
Yeah.
Like, but they're just constantly respawning, or they're more and more respawn. Or again, kind of like Warframe. Warframe will have like a type of character in an area, and you just kind of see the same stuff over and over. They have like different elements that get applied to them, but for the most part, it's just kind of the samey stuff. And the mission structure, like I actually like the mission structures, but again, they do fall into that same territory of you've seen this before, you're seeing it again. And you've seen these areas, and they definitely blend into each other. So between like end game loot being kind of lackluster, or it just being stat based, and enemy variety and mission structure variety being kind of meh, I don't think the end game is going to be that strong until it has things that fix that, or even if it could. I know that there's going to be like a raid, right?
Yeah. So there's a couple of things on the horizon. You've got a Mega Hive, which is it's the Mega Hive, I believe, is actually the way they phrase it makes it sound like it's a solo activity, because this one is descending floors, and this is where I go back to like potentially using your whole team, because a Mega Hive uses all the Avengers, and whenever one of your team dies, it swaps in the next Avenger. So you basically have to go through like a descending level of dungeon, basically, and it just keeps on getting progressively harder and harder. So it does sound quite interesting. And then on the flip side, you've got the secret lab, which is, they've referred to it as a raid. Honestly, from the gameplay, I think it's probably more akin to like a dungeon. Like, I mean, or I guess you can call it raid if you want to, but I don't think raid in terms of like Destiny raid and puzzles. I think it's more like just raid with, I'm playing as a squad and we're fighting. But that specifically is marketed as like, this is the thing that you need to be geared for. This is where you will be fighting the toughest stuff in the game, and then depending on how well you do throughout the raid, it influences the kind of boss you get at the end. So I imagine like if you're doing really, really well and everything like that, suddenly you're going to get like a super tough boss. Meanwhile, if you're getting your ass handed to you, maybe they'll give you like a little robot just to slap around.
When I listen to you guys talk about this game, like playing as like all the Avengers in a single player game sounds really fun, but everything you guys say about the end game doesn't sound very good at all. Like it just sounds like the end game kind of falls flat.
Yeah. I would say the thing about it is, it's definitely 100%. Right now, as the game exists, there isn't really like an end game per se, and it's true definitely about the gear stuff. Like there is, because all the gear is random and because it's not cosmetic and it's just stat based, there is no desire to grind for it, because it's not like you can grind specifically for something. You can't be like, I'm going to go and do this activity to grind for a chance at gauntlets, so at least I can improve this. It's literally going to be pick anything and just play it and just hope you get a drop. So therefore, as a result, there's no way to direct you. And I know, we played plenty of games where drops come from anywhere. So, that's not something that we're new to. But I do feel like, at least if you are going to grind mindlessly in something, you at least want to make sure that reward feels exciting. Whereas if it is one of those ones where, in the current format, I feel like given the way that gear works, I'd be more inclined to grind if it was like, all right, do this mission for a chance at gauntlets. I'm like, okay, cool. You know what? I need to get some legendary gauntlets. I don't mind doing the same mission if I know that's the focus. So definitely right now there's no real draw to it, and even the upcoming in game is going to be hard to sort of say until I've sort of like played it what exactly is going to kind of keep us coming there. I think the interesting prospect for this, and I saw I think Scuf said it, and a few other people sort of said it recently as well, is that people are drawing a lot of parallels between Anthem and Avengers at the moment. The one thing about both those games is that both have like a very fun core gameplay loop. Both games feel very, very fun to play. The big differentiating factor, though, is that there's a lot more in Avengers right now than there was in Anthem. Like the road to becoming where you want it to be in something like Anthem is like a very, very long road.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, in Avengers, they've got a lot of core systems in place that are very good. the game definitely has a lot of bugs, things that need to be fixed. There's definitely, some things that they need to fix in terms of like progression, making people want to play. But the interesting fact is that once you've got the base game, they have said that all updates, story updates, characters, anything they add is completely free. So at least we do know that, they do plan to keep expanding on it. So, it's one of those things that even if you're not sure right now, you might just want to sit and just like watch it for a bit.
So back onto so everything that they're going to add is free, but there is microtransactions for cosmetics. Now let's talk about that. So there is a part in the game where they force you to spend the currency that you earn on something in the cosmetic vendor, right?
Yes. Yeah. That's currency you earn in game. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's shady, obviously. Yeah. I mean, you do earn that currency in game. They force you to spend it on whatever piece that's in that Amanda Holiday wannabe.
That's in game. That's in game money. Like there's in game money that you earn by playing.
Yeah.
There is. Yeah.
And you can use that money to buy cosmetics.
Yeah. Aside from that, though, playing through the campaign and playing a little bit of endgame, I didn't get confronted with, now's the time that I should be spending real money or anything like that. There was nothing that basically slapped me upside the head that said, now is microtransactionville. Like in order to progress, order to... Yeah, they give you cool skins, too, once you beat the game as well. So...
Oh, do they?
Yeah.
Are the microtransactions like, can you buy anything that gives you power, or is it all just purely cosmetic?
So for the most part, no. So here's the thing of how it works. You can't. There is no direct power purchase, but what does happen is that basically every character's got like a battle pass, and it's not like kind of normal battle pass. There's not like a free track and a premium track. It's just a battle pass, right? You can unlock everything in this completely free. So unlike the way that battle passes normally work is obviously you have the free track. And then you have the fancy paid tracks. They're like, oh, you want to get this cool thing? You got to buy that. This is just one flat track. Now, if you want to unlock it organically, what basically happens is every single day there are 2 daily missions you can do, and every single week there are 2 weekly missions you can do. Those are the only things that will give you progress towards it. So if you just do it organically, like by the time I got to like max level, I was like level 6 or 7 on my battle pass. There's like 40 levels of it, so it is slow. So obviously, if you're like, I really want that max level Thor costume, it's going to take you probably best part of maybe a month and a half to do. So obviously it is
yikes for one character.
I mean, I'd say I'm saying that based on the fact that it took me about that to get to like 6 levels. So I'm assuming that's me just very quickly trying to calculate in my head. It might be a little bit quicker than that, but the point is, it's not going to be like I'll get it in a week. Like you're not going to complete it in a week. You're definitely not going to be like I'm just going to grind and complete it in a day. That can't happen. So it is obviously slow for a reason. Now, the only thing that you could potentially look at there being ever so slight links to like the power stuff is because sprinkled amidst that, for the most part, like 90% of it is titles, like your fancy little banner cards, your emotes, your skins, but occasionally amidst the battle thing, you'll get a little kind of like material package, which will be like 10 of like, I don't know, a nanite tube. Now, nanite tubes and things like that are used to upgrade your gear. Now, these are all materials you can farm organically in game. But as you get towards end game, you get to like 130 gear, the cost to upgrade those is like really high. Like it might take you like 5 pieces of nanite tube to upgrade like a low level piece. And then at end game, you need like 75 pieces. So what the kind of slightly gray area here is that if you max out the battle pass, you get a bunch of materials, which you could then invest into powering up your gear. But because it's a finite resource, once you've used it, you still need to go back and farm it anyway. So, this is where it's the kind of gray area. You could
pay to have the battle pass maxed out, get all those resources to then upgrade friend game.
Yes, okay. Yeah. Now, obviously, those upgrades would only last you that of like, you'd have enough to upgrade maybe a couple of pieces of gear. So it's not like a long-term solution. You can't continually buy materials, but there is that link. So, it's definitely there to a degree.
Yeah.
Are you guys both playing this on PC, or Eric, are you playing it on a console?
I'm playing on PS4.
I played on PC.
PS4. How's the performance on the PS4?
PS4 for the most part has been alright. I've had a few crashes, but I was actually quite surprised. Like because I played the beta on the PS4 as well, and obviously I had the frame rate issues back then. For the most part, frame rate issues are, they seem to have been largely speaking fixed, at least from what I've experienced. When you get to like some of the later things, what I've found is that like a lot of the stuff you experience early, like the campaign runs super smooth for the most part. some of the earlier missions, some of like the later end game stuff I've got to, where I'm like in the hives and there's like a lot more stuff happening on screen. I definitely still get them, but I feel like it's not as anywhere near as noticeable as it was when I was playing the beta.
I was thinking, because this one, I believe this is one of those games that's going to be, if you buy it for the PS4, it automatically upgrades to the PS5 version. And I thought it'd be fun to, have one game that I'm playing that, like, then I continue to play on the PS5 when that comes in, just so I get like a real, like, kind of a physical feel of like what the differences between the consoles are. So I thought it'd be fun. Plus, you get Spider-Man, and I know it's shitty that they did that, but I do want Spider-Man.
When do you get Spider-Man, by the way?
I don't actually know yet.
When you deserve him.
When you've earned his trust.
I think the first characters are like Hawkeye or Kate Bishop, so I'm not sure when Spider-Man is due. But
so Spider-Man's going to be a while, yeah. One thing that I don't know if this is 100% correct. I think it is. I saw Goth tweet about it, that the save files are local. So there is no, at least I think anyways, there's no database that's holding your data on there. Which means that on
currently
PC,
Googling Avengers save game editor.
Exactly. A Avengers PC save game editor has got to be like, hours away.
I think it already exists, because I think someone replied to Goth to say that they're already seeing power level 999 people in matchmatching.
Okay.
Which is obviously a huge issue, because any end game content now is like, I don't know whether they. Yeah, I don't know whether they had any aspirations to do like world first raids, because I don't think it's gonna be like that kind of raid. But still, regardless, any end game content, if you were competitive, is irrelevant. So
so like I think that's another thing to think about if you're approaching this from a Destiny perspective. Don't. This is not something to be approached that way. I think it's more of like a become an Avenger, enjoy the world that is the Marvel's Avengers. Enjoy an arcade style button mash and beat 'em up type of brawler with an end game that exists. It's not stellar, but it's there. Like, you can grind. And Eric's, you grinded to 150 power, right?
Yeah, I mean, even despite the the kind of like the fact that there's not necessarily like a huge end game, I've still probably got a good, I want to say 60-70 hours out of it already.
Yeah.
Right? So there's I've already spent time and I've enjoyed it that time.
Yeah.
I think, to kind of echo what you were sort of saying, like I was kind of chatting to people about this the other day. Like it's one of those things where I think we had this discussion on like SideQuest before, where like not every single game that comes out has to be like a 10 out of 10, Last of Us, Uncharted, Game of the Year, Oscar winning nomination. Sometimes games can just come out and they can just be decent, right?
Yeah.
Like some of my favorite gaming experiences are not 10 out of 10 games. They're not even 8 out of 10 games. I mean, like, I list games like Crackdown and Bionic Commando, and like one to literally draw inspiration from, like Marvel Ultimate Alliance. I love that game. You look at that game, people are like, this game looks rubbish, but you play it with your friends. It's so much fun. And that's literally what I got from Avengers. Like, I don't see it as being like a game where people will be like, this game was genre defining. It's the definitive experience. It's like the best game you've ever played. I don't even necessarily see people putting it alongside, I mean, the campaign was great, but like, I don't necessarily see people kind of like necessarily saying, oh, it's like Batman level kind of, things like that. But like at the same time, I've had so much fun with it. Like the moment to moment gameplay. And this goes back to like my personal reasons for playing games. Like I just play for the gameplay experience. Like I enjoy stories, but I just play for the gameplay. And like the fact that I'm playing as Thor, and every single hit, when I'm just like calling lightning down and blasting things away and just like hammering things with like me on it, the game's just fun. And the fact that it's just like that fun aspect has kept me playing.
Yeah, cool. I had that feeling playing Hulk. I was like, dude, I am straight up Hulk smashing. Just rage, massive, pounding the ground, anger, picking people up, throwing them around. And other people are like, man, I hate Hulk. I can't stand the way he plays. And I'm like, Hulk is fantastic. And then other, like Iron Man, I didn't really like the flying. I feel like it was kind of flimsy. But other people are like, man, Iron Man's incredible. I love this. So like the gameplay variety is actually really impressive that you can get with the Avengers. I was thinking that it was just going to be like a light, heavy, and some sort of special. But it goes pretty beyond that. Like there's combos, there's the skill trees change your loadout and the way they play dramatically. Like they really do open up quite a bit of stuff. And each character, like you said, goes up to 50, right? Level 50?
Yeah.
That's a time investment right there to get each character to 50 and unlock all that stuff.
I feel like that was one of my slight gripes when I started playing the game. I was like, oh, you know what? I mean, it's nice on one respect, and I guess maybe they want to give you that power fantasy where like you get to level 50, you've unlocked everything in the skill tree, all the abilities are available to you. I mean, there's on one hand that's cool, but when you do have games with skill trees, I feel like part of the investment is like investing in a tree to like build your build, and you can still make builds in the game. But it's like the fact that I know that when I get to level 50, I've got everything. I don't need to think, oh, where do I spend this point? Because if I don't go down here, I can't get to like Thor's ultimate final.
Yeah, like Borderlands.
I need to make a sacrifice here. Yeah, exactly. So because there's no sacrifice there, it's definitely a lot more. But I mean, again, I feel like it fits the space they were trying to go for. Because I don't think this game was ever designed to be like a hardcore, super loot driven like Diablo, World of Warcraft, even Destiny kind of game. I think it's definitely more so taking the loot aspect but putting it to like a broader, more casual audience. Like it's definitely like a casual looting experience.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the impression I got from it. Are they actually marketing it as a live service game?
I can't remember specifically. I feel like there was wording before where like I don't think actually no.
I feel like the wording has been it's not a live service game.
Yeah, because there's a lot of people saying that they're saying it's a live service game, and I'm like, I don't think I've actually seen them.
I don't think they did, because I think it was because I was trying to look at this kind of confused, because both this game and Godfall are both games that they look from the surface those kind of like style of games, but they've both gone. I think they've both got. I know for Godfall 100%, but like I think for Marvel they've also said it's not a live service game. I've likened Marvel more to Monster Hunter in that you'll play your stuff and you'll be finished with it for a little while and you'll wait, and then like a month or so later they'll add a new content drop where they'll be like, here's a new character, here's some new missions. You'll jump back in, do it again, much like Monster Hunter would be like, here's a new quest, here's a new monster. You do that for a bit. Monster Hunter isn't a live service game, it's just a updated game kind of thing. So I think that's basically the space they're trying to go for.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna pick it up. I'm just gonna play the campaign though. I'm curious about the campaign. I want to smash some stuff as the Hulk. I haven't played as the Hulk since Ultimate Destruction back in like 2003 or whenever that came out.
Dude, the Hulk is so good. I love it.
Yeah, I was watching you play as the Hulk. I watched your VOD. Like I wasn't able to watch you play live, but I watched your VOD and you were playing as the Hulk, and I'm like, I kind of want to play this.
You're like, that looks fun. Damn it.
Yeah.
It is fun.
Smashing shit.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing is that people are trying to compare it to, the Destinies and all that. And
especially people that we've talked to,
Yeah, but I mean, a lot of people are like saying, well, this is do or die. they either got to knock this out of the park or Marvel's done. Franchise is over, man.
Well, the overall impressions have been pretty positive. Like I've been kind of just like listening to podcasts and reading articles about it, and I've been watching people who are playing it, and people seem like, nobody's like saying this is going to be like game of the year, but everybody's like, I kind of like this. It's kind of fun.
Yeah,
it's fun. It's like a fun arcade game. Like, it's a brawler,
and there's room for that. There's room for that. Like everything doesn't have to be, everything doesn't have to be like the game that you play for the rest of your life. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Sometimes. It's fun to just goof around as the Hulk.
Yeah. Also, when you're leveling up, I realize this halfway through the game. If you hold, is it right trigger? I think it's right trigger or left trigger. You hold one of the triggers when you're on controller. It automatically equips the best loot that you have.
I love that.
Right? Wasn't that
That's
so
nice.
great? Because the loot doesn't really matter, especially when you're leveling up. I mean, it kind of matters, but you're not really doing builds in early stages. So you go into your inventory, you're like, oh, just hold the trigger and automatically equips it.
God, that should be in every game. What the hell?
Right?
That's awesome.
Yeah.
The reason I haven't picked this game up yet is because I was browsing on GamePass the other day, and I saw that Wasteland 3 was on GamePass on PC and on the Xbox. So I downloaded that, not having never played a Wasteland game before. And before I knew it, I'd put about 6 hours into it. It was like 4 o'clock in the morning.
Nice.
And then I immediately woke up the next day and started playing it again. It is my obsession right now. Wasteland 3.
What game is it? What type of game is it?
Game. It's like a really traditional computer RPG where it's like top down, tactical. You click where you want your characters to go. When you're in combat, it's turn based. You move each character around. Each character has a turn. The bad guys have a turn. You move them into cover, and your enemies move into cover. It's really kind of like one of those really fiddly tactical turn based kind of things.
Nice.
I heard it described as a cross between what's that the alien turn based strategy game? XCOM. I heard it described as XCOM meets Fallout.
I would play that.
And I think that's a pretty damn good description because the combat feels a lot like XCOM, but the world feels a lot like Fallout, right? Especially the old Fallout, like Fallout 1 and 2 before they went into first person. And the story is great. You start off with kind of blank characters. Create your own characters right at the beginning, 2 characters. And then within a couple of hours, you create a couple more characters. So you get 4 characters that you've created in your party. And then you have 2 slots in your party that are kind of people that you meet along the way. And you can meet all sorts of weird people. Like there's a cat that you meet pretty early. And the cat actually doesn't take one of your slots. It's just kind of like this random cat that hangs out with you and attacks stuff. You know, it acts like kind of like a
cat. Street cat shows up
wearing a cowboy hat.
It's Puss. Puss in Boots.
Yeah. And then you kind of just like, you know, you meet characters. Like the goal ends up being that you are from Arizona. You've traveled to Colorado to make an alliance so that these people can help you in Arizona. And of course, you've got to go on all these quests to, you know, satisfy these people of Colorado so they'll help you out in Arizona. But you're attacked. And then you've got to, you know, you got to plead for your life. And then you just kind of like wander the wasteland and kind of complete stories. And the stories, you know, they feel really well written. They feel like there's a lot of character in each one of them. And there's not necessarily a good decision to be made like during these things because you're constantly making decisions and the decisions affect like the outcome of the rest of the story, right? Like if you side with one faction and the other faction gets mad at you, they might be your enemy for the rest of the game. Whereas if you make the opposite decision, I'll give you one example is there's a gangster and basically the police. And the police think that the gangster organized an attack on the town. So they say, you know, find the proof that this gangster did it and then go kill this gangster. Well, while you're investigating this, you find out that the gangster actually had nothing to do with it. And he's still a gangster. But the cops kind of don't give a shit. You give the cops the proof and there's like a standoff in the casino or the gangster's casino where the cops are like, look, you know, you're either with us or against us. And you have a decision to make. Am I going to kill this gangster and be good with the cops for the rest of the game? Or am I going to, you know, fight the cops because the gangster didn't do anything wrong, right? It's like the cops are clearly in the wrong here. Is they're persecuting this guy because they don't like him, not because he caused this attack on the town. So you have to make that decision. Your path is way easier, obviously, if the cops are on your side for the rest of the game as opposed to like this random gangster. You know, so it's fun in that way where you've kind of constantly got to be like, you know, who do I want to be aligned with? Like, what are my morals as a character? Because your characters are just ciphers. Like they don't have the ones that you create are just, you know, pure ciphers. They don't have any personality of their own. So it's really you making these decisions. Like, how do I want to role play this situation? You do have characters in your party who do have personalities. But it's really fun. It's really engaging. It's really well written. You know, it looks like a CRPG. It looks like, you know, something like, you know, from 20 years ago, but with like, you know, HD graphics, right? It looks like, and it looks like you're playing a campaign in XCOM. You know, you're not going into combat like you are from XCOM. You're not going into situations like XCOM. You just walk around, and then like when you enter an area that has bad guys in it, like the battle starts, but you don't like change like viewpoints or anything. It's just like kind of the controls change a little bit about it. It's really good. It's definitely the most fun I've had playing a video game this year.
Really?
Yeah. Like I you know, and I'm still in the middle of it, so I haven't finished it yet. So I'm not like claiming it's going to be the game of the year. Good Lord. Aside from the dancing scene, because that dancing scene was really good in Final Fantasy VII.
More fun than Doom Eternal.
But yeah, Tsushima.
To me, it just scratches a lot of like my personal itches in a video game. Like, I love the world that they build here. I love the characters I'm coming across, and I love that I get to make these decisions in kind of complex ways. It's not just here's like it's a good choice and here's the bad choice, right? It's here's, we've obviously got to come to a compromise here, and it's going to have a lasting decision on your game. I could totally see myself doing another playthrough because the characters, aside from like having actual characters, you've got to actually load these guys out in a way that makes sense for you. So like, if you're good with automatic weapons but not good with small arms, you constantly got to be managing ammo among your squad. And like if you got 3 guys who are all good with automatic weapons, you're going to run out of automatic weapon ammo really fast because you got 3 guys using them. So you want to spread it out. Like you want one guy with a flamethrower, one guy with pistols, one guy with, automatic weapons. It's really good. But it's handled easily. Like it's a shared inventory. So you don't have to like be managing ammo between 6 characters. It's like, there's just one inventory and everybody pulls their ammo out of that. And everybody pulls their armor out of that. Everybody pulls their consumables out of that. So you don't have to be messing around with the inventory that much.
When did this
It's just done very well. Was that?
When did it come out?
I think it was the week before last. No, I think it was last week. Yeah, it was last week.
It's officially
came out in Game Pass.
Oh, it's on Game Pass.
Ooh. Yeah, that's how I got it. It's like I didn't. This game was not on my radar at all. I just saw it and I was like, "What's this?" And I clicked on it and it looked interesting, so I downloaded it and started playing it on PC. And I was like, "Holy smokes, this is amazing!
Nice.
It's amazing."
I might have to check it out. Sounds cool.
It's on Xbox as well. I did check it out on Xbox just to see, like, can I play this like with my same save? And the save doesn't transfer. I was really bummed about that.
That's too bad.
So I can't just like continue my campaign like between the PC and the couch, depending on where I feel like playing. But I might just start up another campaign on the couch.
Nice, cool. Speaking of couch gaming, RTX 3090.
Oh my God. I thought you were going to go talk about Mario. But
actually, yeah. No, we should talk Mario first.
We got to talk about Mario too.
That's true couch gaming.
Yeah, the true couch gaming Mario. Like, let's check that off the list.
Were you guys what Mario?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, Nintendo had a Nintendo Direct and they announced a ton of Mario stuff. Right? They announced basically this is Mario's 35th anniversary, and they announced. I'm just gonna go down the list here. They announced Mario Kart Live Home Circuit, which is awesome. Incredibly cool. This is like a game / like toy. Basically, you buy a go-kart, like a Mario go-kart that's like an RC car, and it's got a camera above his head, which is a direct feed onto your Nintendo Switch. So it's like an AR version of Mario Kart. So as you're racing these karts around in real life, it's all represented on screen with like, the Mario Kart stuff. And like you're kind of like looking over the head of Mario. So it feels like you're playing Mario Kart, but you got this actual kart racing around like your living room or your driveway or garage or whatever.
That's really cool.
Yeah. And you can make all the custom tracks because like when you're in games, you load into like a paint mode. And you basically drive around your living room or wherever it is to like mark the track, and then it's registered in game, and then you can race. And there's like loads of all the functionalities. Like if someone, obviously it doesn't spin you out, but if someone used like an item on you and it would hit you in game, your car will stop driving for a second before you can then like go and drive again.
So silly. That's great.
And then they once again found ways to sell you more cardboard as well, because when you buy the pack, which I have pre-ordered, there are currently 2 versions. You can buy Mario or Luigi. Obviously, I pre-ordered Luigi because it's the best.
No Wario yet.
No Wario yet. Well, you know why? Because they're going to sell you Mario and Luigi, wait a little while, and then sell it to you again. Because this costs £100.
Damn.
Yeah.
It is not cheap, but
do you expect this to be cheap though? What it does, like it's kind of a lot,
true,
right?
True. Yeah. I'm just hoping it's a really good RC car because I used to be really into my RC cars. Like I've got one of those ones that I custom built that has like the big battery that can drive like 30 miles an hour. That used to be to like drift.
Okay.
I don't expect it to be that good, but I hope it's not one of those like really like for £100 it better not be. But I hope it's not one of those like really cheap ones that's just like I don't know, just really rubbish. I think
it's going to be kind of cheap. I'm not gonna lie to you.
It probably will be. But I'm excited for that because I'm gonna make. I started thinking about videos for it. Like even though it's got a camera on it, I want to put a GoPro on top of it so that I can film the driving angle of it,
Yes.
and then get a drone above it so I can get the top-down map view.
Oh yeah,
and I've got some Mario Kart videos planned, but I hope they've also thought about this sensibly. I think they must have done because they showed it being played in multiplayer. But I remember once when I was at school, I bought 2 RC cars. They were cheap. They didn't think about the radio frequency, and then when you turn them both on, they're both controlled by the same remote. I'm like, this has ruined my fun.
Yeah, you can't buy one of these, right? You have to buy 2. So really, the price should be $200. You get both of them, right? And you're going to need 2 Nintendo Switches, and you need a friend to play with. I honestly was pissed that they didn't announce this 10 years ago when my kids were 9 years old, because this would have been so fun, right? It's like setting up the tracks together. Then you get to race, and you're like battling it out with the race. Like this would have been an automatic Christmas gift.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that seems cool.
That's coming out this year, October 16th, I believe I read.
Just before the consoles. So sink your £100 into that instead of your PS5 pre-order.
Right. I would guess this is going to be pretty popular. I would guess that most of the stuff that we're about to talk about is going to be pretty popular. So if you want this stuff, try and get a pre-order for it. Next was Super Mario 3D All-Stars. This one's been a bit controversial. So this is a package that has a re-release of Super Mario 64, Super Mario Sunshine, and Super Mario Galaxy. They're selling this for $60. They're going to have a digital version and a physical copy, but the physical copy is only going to be available for a limited time. I want to say it goes away in like February.
Well, here's the thing: the physical one's that one, but they also said the same for the digital one. They said the digital copy is only available until March, which is really
this
weird.
one's doing that too. I thought that was just the 35 one.
My understanding is that's the one that comes with 64 Sunshine.
Yeah, you're right. It says for a limited time only. Yeah, so it doesn't make that difference.
Which baffles
that one, it's really baffling. It comes September 18th. This is like almost automatically going to be a collector's item, right?
Yeah,
which sucks because like a lot of the people who buy this are never going to play it, and they're just going to hold on to it just so they could resell it when it's it costs 3 times as much as I bought it for. It does come with like 3 great games. It doesn't come with Super Mario Galaxy 2, which sucks. Like it seems like an automatic to be in there. Like, are they gonna have a second one of these that has Super Mario Galaxy 2?
Oh, sure.
I don't know. Anyhow, also Super Mario 64 is not remastered. It's not widescreen. It's still gonna be like a 4:3 aspect ratio.
Oh, no. Super Mario 64 they have made that widescreen.
I don't think so. The footage they showed wasn't widescreen.
Because I saw a video on the Nintendo page where they showed that they like updated it and it went wide.
Okay, well that's great.
Unless I'm mistaken, I'll try and double check.
Okay. It's been weird because like very recently, Super Mario 64 got a fan made PC version, which Nintendo obviously threw the womp down on very quickly. I'm trying to find out too if this was to me the trailer they have on their site is 4:3, so I think it's gonna be 4:3.
Are you gonna be able to switch back and forth?
Maybe not. I don't think so. I think it's just gonna be. I think it's a straight up port. It's basically emulation of those 3 games.
Okay. I was thinking maybe you're right. Yeah.
Interesting.
But still, like if you've never played those games, Super Mario 64 is still a fantastic game.
It's a great game.
Like, Super Mario Sunshine doesn't get a lot of love, but a lot of people really love it.
Yeah.
And Super Mario Galaxy, I think, is one of the best games Nintendo's ever made. It's so good.
It is great.
Next up, we're going to take a look. They also announced the Game & Watch Super Mario Brothers edition, which is a Game & Watch. If you're not familiar with a Game & Watch, it's like a very small handheld device that's also a clock, and it plays Super Mario Brothers. I think this one's also going to play Super Mario Brothers: The Lost Levels. I'm not positive about that, but that's the rumor I've heard. And that thing is available for pre-order for some reason in Europe, but not in the US. It's coming out in November, on November 13th. And this thing is guaranteed to be a collector's item.
Yeah,
guaranteed.
I missed the pre-order for that one. The anyone that is like listening to this in the UK at least, the Nintendo store has had that up on for sale, and also the Mario Kart racing cars. But yeah, that one was gone. So
yeah. This thing is like, Nintendo's been doing this a lot lately. Like they've clearly found out, like, hey, if we make these things in real limited runs, people snatch them right up. Like it creates more excitement for it because like people are afraid to miss out. Like the FOMO is part of the reason people are buying these things.
Yep.
What if it was an inside job? What if Nintendo make it limited? Nintendo buy their own stock, and the scalpers are Nintendo.
Their eBay accounts.
You sons of bitches! You beat the system. Another really cool thing that they've made, but it's going to be for some reason limited, is Mario 35, which is like a 35 versus 1 Tetris 99 style game where you play Super Mario Brothers against 35 other people in real time. And as you do cool stuff, you drop like Goombas and Spikies on the other players.
That's
and
cool.
you try and be like the last Mario run-in in this field of 35 Marios, which frankly, I'll give it a shot, but it's limited time too. Like that one is going to be, damn, I lost my page that had that one open. That one is a limited time thing. Oh, it starts October 1st and ends March 31st. So you have to download it between October 1st and March 31st. If you don't download it then, you'll miss out. You won't be able to download it anymore, but you'll still be able to play it if you have it downloaded. It's just weird. Like, why would you take it away? You know? Was there anything else? Oh, Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury is also coming to the Switch. Super Mario 3D World is the game that came out on the Wii U, and it makes sense that this game is coming to the Switch because nobody bought a Wii U.
I did.
Yeah, I bought one.
I did too.
I'm glad because that's one of the ones that I actually didn't play, and I've heard good things about that one. I've heard really good things about that one.
Yeah, people seem to love it. I haven't played it either. I have a copy like right there somewhere. But I've never played it. I bought it for the kids, but I never played it myself. But Bowser's Fury is actually extra content, from what I understand. So even if you played it, there's some extra content there.
Cool.
So pretty cool. I mean, like a lot of, if you like Mario, it's a good time to like Mario if you're rich.
Yeah. But what's more exciting is that this makes me more excited for next year, which is Zelda's 35th anniversary.
Yeah, right?
Because there are still those rumors of like Skyward Sword, Twilight Princess, Wind Waker coming to Switch. So
Switch Pro.
Yeah, the Switch Pro as well. Yeah, that would. Yeah, I mean that there's not like too much on the new stuff, but like on the rumors are potentially a Switch Pro to coincide with Breath of the Wild 2 launch. Nice. So then it would be like potentially more power. But
when's Metroid's 35th anniversary?
Need that Metroid in my life. Come on.
Yeah. Oh my god. Because we know Metroid Prime is coming out. Prime 4 is coming out, and we keep hearing the rumors about like a remastered Switch version of 1, 2, and 3. Which I think would sell like hotcakes.
I would love it. I would, immediately buy that.
Yeah, I would play all 3 of those games over again on the Switch right away.
Definitely.
Yeah. And before the show, you were talking. There's some more Switch Pro rumors. Aries?
Yeah, no, it's mainly just the ones that have kind of been doing the rounds. But supposedly, like it'll be. I mean, again, this is all like rumor territory. But supposedly they would be looking at a more powerful version that would then have.
They're gonna put a 3090 in it.
Maybe. Imagine that. Dock it with a 3090.
It's gonna be heavy. It's way heavier.
Yeah, it's got a strap on the back.
Expansion port. Just
there's a backpack.
Maybe instead you take the Joy-Cons off and you just slide 2 3090s in.
Oh, perfect. Dual SLI.
Yeah,
I like it. I'm sorry to interrupt you. You said there's going to be 4K support?
Supposedly, yeah. Rumor is there. I don't know whether it's 4K, like, native or 4K upscaling. But yeah, I mean, that, and then obviously, I would imagine, this is just me speculating, but I would imagine form factor wise, it would have to be pretty similar because obviously the Joy-Cons work around like clipping it and I mean, pretty expensive. And I mean, I know Nintendo just like to sell you new stuff, but I really hope they don't just sell a new console. They're like, well, you need to buy the Joy-Con 2.0, which also costs $60 per Joy-Con.
I would not be upset if they redesigned the Joy-Cons. I admittedly, I do have not collected them, so I don't have a huge investment in the current Joy-Cons. But the current Joy-Cons do have some serious issues. Like the they have real drift problems with the thumbsticks.
Yeah,
which they've tried to fix, but so far have not been successful at fixing. Also, there's no reason they need to be that expensive. Like, come on, like $70.
Nintendo's trying to make money. Briar, come on now.
Yeah, I hear you. So a redesign, like I don't even use the Joy-Cons. I use like a third-party controller that's slides on. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head. A Hori replacement.
Yeah.
Like I don't have a lot of love for the Joy-Cons. It's too small. They don't last long. They're super expensive. Like not a whole lot of upsides there.
Yeah.
A redesign would be okay in my book.
So, graphics news. RTX 3000 series. It's official.
$3,000?
If you want a pair, $3,000.
Were you guys like shocked at the prices?
Not terribly, because like the 3090 was there. And I know the 3090 is kind of like the Titan. But like I didn't expect them to bring out a $1,200.
Even that is $1,000 less than last year's Titan.
Is it really?
Yeah, I mean the last Titan was like $2,200, $2,300 or something like that.
Nice. My thought,
it might have been $2,500.
I honestly thought that they were going to push out people or push market out or accessibility if they went even higher. So I kind of expected them to come back to reality because they still want to sell cards. Like I don't think the Titan is super profitable in the scheme of like the lower end cards, right? Like, I'm sure the lower end cards make more money for them, so I don't think that they wanted to like push that even farther out. So on one end, I'm not surprised that the prices are actually pretty affordable because this is the next generation and they do have to progress in terms of what graphics can offer. And yeah, I mean, it was a pleasant surprise, that's for sure.
So like PC enthusiasts have noted that this is the biggest like jump in power per generation since like the 980 to the 1080, right?
Yeah.
Which was a huge jump.
Yep.
It's almost double the power between a 2080 and a 3080, which is huge. And the price is $700 for a 3080, which is, it's a lot of money. $700 is a lot of money, but for a high-end graphics card, like considering what the pricing was like last generation with the 2080 Ti, it feels a lot cheaper than it did last generation. It's still expensive. Don't get me wrong. Like $700 for a graphics card. And that's like for the base unit. Like if you want to get an add-in graphics card from Asus with like extra fans and some nicer features, like it's going to be more than that. And we haven't actually been able to buy these things at retail yet. So we'll see what they actually cost when you can get them in your hands.
See how much demand.
I'm sure they're going to be in short supply.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it seems like just a huge win for gamers. Like
massive, right?
Double the power, less cost. Like, holy smokes. Like, to me, it was like, well, I think they just sold me a graphics card that I wasn't expecting to buy and just like said, well, you're not buying an Xbox. Like that money just got transferred away from an Xbox 4 into the PC graphics card.
Which one are you going for?
I'm not sure. I think I'm going to get a 3080. I think it's the wise choice to get the 3080. But that 3090, man, like, geez, that's going to be a monster card. Like, it's just going to be a baller card.
It's also twice the amount of money.
Yeah, but my 2080 Ti was about that much. Like, it's like,
was it $150
more than my 2080 Ti was?
Yeah, but that's not the partner boards. Like the partner boards, I'm sure is going to be $1,600.
Oh yeah, and there's going to be partner boards for the 3090, which there were never partner boards for.
Right, the Titan. Yeah,
for the Titan. Yeah,
that's a good point. Yeah,
I think the thing's baller. I'm not sure if I'm going to buy it or just going to stick to a 3080. We're going to have to wait and see. It'll probably be like a game time. Can Briar keep his finger away from the mouse decision? But I have actually been on a selling spree. I just sold my 1080 Ti for $400, and I sold my launch Xbox One and I sold my launch PS4, both for about $150 each.
You're cleaning house, man.
Yeah, just get rid of this stuff. New stuff's coming. I still have my Xbox 4, my Xbox Series. God damn it, man! I have my Xbox
Series.
Pro and my PS4 Pro. How about that?
There you go.
Fuck you, Xbox. Those names, man. Are you shitting me with this?
I can't wait for like a few more generations when it's like the Xbox Alpha Turbo Remix Series S2.5 Black Edition.
Oh, it's horrible.
So this is massive. I mean, like I'm gonna try to pre-order anything that I can get my hands on because I want to get a 3080. I've been waiting to upgrade specifically because I knew that the 3000 series was around the corner, and this is just a no-brainer at this point. Like I have a 1080 Ti. Jumping from a 1080 Ti to a 3080 is going to be a massive leap in power and graphics performance. And then it opens up 1440 and 4K gaming comfortably for me without feeling like I'm sacrificing frame rates. You know?
Yeah. And you're getting you're getting the Nvidia features like DLSS and their RTX, which is going to be available on all graphics cards, not just Nvidia.
Right.
But the ray tracing stuff
in Cyberpunk.
Ooh. Yeah.
See, that's what I was worried about. I was like, I need a new card for Cyberpunk. I'm really hoping I'm gonna be able to get my hands on one of these. So I'm gonna pre-order a founder's card, and then if I also get my hands on a partner card, then I'll do a little swapperoo or whatever. Like, no problem. But that's
what I did with the 2080 Ti. Is I ordered a founder's card and was waiting for the orders to pop up for the add-in board cards. I ended up getting an Asus ROG Strix.
That's what I want.
But once I actually owned the Nvidia card, was delivered, and my pre-order went in for the Strix, so I sent the Nvidia card back. And they're like, "What's the reason for this return?" I'm like, "Honestly, I'm getting the ROG version." And they're like, "Okay."
Yeah, that's what it's. That's my dream scenario is get the Asus Strix version because that's what I have for the 1080 Ti right now, and I like that board a lot. So if I can get that, great. But I also hear that the cooling on the Founders board is a lot better than it has been in the past.
Yeah, we'll see. They say that about every generation of Founders cards.
True, but they also say like, oh my god, the power increase is incredible. Then in reality, it's like only in this one section, but this time it's real. Like the results are out there. People are like, yeah, this is actually practically doubling the power of the 2080.
Yeah, Digital Foundry got an early version of it, and I actually don't mind the look of the Founders card this time around either.
Yeah,
like it looks kind of badass with all the fins everywhere.
Yeah, they look cool.
Yeah.
So pre-order.
If it's quiet, like I'd probably be okay with it.
Right. Yeah. So pre-order, I think, is the 14th, right, for the Founders.
I don't know.
It's somewhere around the middle of the month,
depending on which. Like the 3070, 3080, and 3090 all have different pre-order.
Right.
dates.
So the 3070 is in October. So if you're waiting for a 3070, you're gonna have to wait another month.
The poor have to wait.
So I guess the 17th. My bad. So 3080, 17th, and then sometime in October. Oh wait, no, maybe it's sometime in October for the 3070. My plan is a 3080, and then I will have officially committed to having to build a new rig. And I don't really want to build a rig just yet because what if the 4000 Ryzen series comes out like in a couple months, Because I'm definitely going to be bottlenecking. I'm going to be bottlenecking with the 7700K. Like that's obvious. That thing is going to be bottlenecked.
I don't know that Ryzen is like, for me, like Ryzen is like, if I'm just building my only computer and it's going to be everything. It's going to do all my video editing. It's going to play all my games. It's going to do everything for me. Like Ryzen seems like the way to go, right? Because it's more robust. But if I'm just building a gaming machine, I'm still going Intel.
Man,
like, I felt like building a purpose-built.
I felt like that was the way it was a year or two ago. But Ryzen is like nipping at the heels. And Ryzen 4...
Yeah, but if you look at the... Yeah, we haven't seen anything for Ryzen 4. If Ryzen 4 can like outdo it, that'd be awesome.
Ryzen 4 is supposed to be another big jump and not supposed to be just like a little incremental, like basically what Intel's been doing every year. Oh, just here a little bit. We just tuned it a bit for you,
Intel has made very little progress since the 6700K, I think, which was...
They've had big setbacks too. They've had to...
5 years ago.
Yeah. They've had setbacks and like, seems like they're struggling a bit right now. So I don't think that's going to change.
But even with the setbacks, if you want to be the frame rate king, you still go Intel.
Yeah, but
the 4000 series may or may not change that.
Yeah, they may or may not change it. But also when it comes to the frame rates, you're actually talking at this point like 5 to 15 frames higher. You know, when you're already in like 180 FPS.
You're just gonna leave those 5 to 15 frames behind, huh? Just not even gonna consider them. Every frame is equal. Okay.
That's my thought. I would like to get. I'm seriously considering just doing a Ryzen build for my next gaming machine.
Yeah.
Anyways, very exciting. 3080. It's real. The 3090 is real. Also, it's supposedly 8K focused. Some ridiculous.
I don't even have an 8K TV. I don't have any plans of buying one either.
Yeah. It's like
4K, high frame rate 4K, man. That's sexy.
That is, yeah. Yep.
Like we're getting to the age where you can buy 120 hertz 4K displays. Boy, I'd like to max that out.
You want to take advantage.
It's gonna look dope.
Yeah, exciting stuff. It's great because we're finally, that's like the next generational push to see what's going to happen with game developers, both on the console side with what's happening with the PS5, but also the new RTX stuff. Oh, and also now you can officially be like, well, next gen consoles aren't exactly on par with PCs anymore.
Also, there's no software.
Yeah, that's true too.
They brought out next gen consoles, but they forgot to make next gen games.
Yeah.
Oops. You had
Cool.
one job.
I'm still sitting here on my 1080 Ti.
Yeah. I can't believe I was able to sell one for $400.
Really? Ooh.
Yeah. I'm thinking about selling my 2080 Ti.
You might as well if you're going to get a 3080.
I'm also thinking about putting it in my living room.
Yeah, you can
And
do
having
that.
like a gaming PC in my living room.
Just get the 3080 and put it in a frame in your living room.
Frame it. Yes.
Yeah.
Frame it.
On the mantelpiece.
Yeah.
Family photo. 3080 Ti. Done.
Oh, man. Awesome. Well, I think that's SideQuest, guys, right?
I think so.
The
That was a good show. I had a lot to talk about. That was fun.
let's get ready to spend a bunch of money episode.
I feel like that's been this whole year. It's like, oof, this is gonna be a costly one. It's gonna be an expensive year. Now it's time to pay the piper, I think.
Right? Yeah.
Although I can't believe I still haven't been able to order a PlayStation 5 or an Xbox.
Yeah.
Like, how is that a thing? It's September
17th, right when the 3080 goes live, PS5 goes live.
Yes. One worrying note to end the side quest on is that there was a recent update on the PlayStation 5 page where it'll be all right for you guys. It seems that in the UK they've changed the messaging to launches end of 2020. Meanwhile, in the US it says launches holiday 2020. So people are speculating, given stock limitations, that it may well be launching not worldwide. So
I think this is a great idea. This is perfect.
This is
right?
a terrible idea.
They're gonna make sure that their most important customers, who of course are in the US,
God
get
damn.
early access.
That is a wholesale blowout on salt from gamers. The salt mines are going to be just foggy from all the minerals in the air.
It's going to be terrible. I have to wire one of you piles of cash so you can secure one for me.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. All right. Well, side quest complete, guys, right?
Bling.
Bling. Eric, where can people find you?
On the internet, Twitter, at Arix, YouTube, at Arix Gaming, where I'm still probably playing Avengers in the hope of doing some
Getting
endgame
exotic.
stuff. Yeah, maybe eventually. That'd be great. My last exotic was a book. I didn't want to use it.
Briar?
A book. You can find me. I'm Briar Rabbit. You can find me on Twitter at the Briar Rabbit, or running over to Best Buy to pick up a copy of the Avengers.
Great. I am Tefty Teft. You can talk to me at Teft on Twitter and catch my streams twitch.tv/Tefty Teft. And I don't know what I'm going to be playing this week. I really don't know. We'll see.
Check out Wasteland, man. It's real good.
I might play that. Wasteland does sound
free.
good. Yeah, it's true. GamePass. Free 99. Thank you very much for watching, guys. We really appreciate it. Shout out to our Patreon members supporting the show and our Twitch subs. You guys are awesome. Thanks for watching live or listening on your podcast consumption hours, commuting, or whichever it is. And yeah, thanks for hanging out. We'll see you next time.
I like to listen to podcasts in a bubble bath.
That's a great time.
Mm-hmm.
Bubble baths.
With
highly underrated.
Just don't drop
Bubble baths are dope.
a listening device in the bath.
Yeah, or get like a GoPro level of listening device. So if it does drop,
I don't really bring a camera into the bubble bath with me.
I'm just saying level of you know what I'm saying.
But for you, I'll make an exception.
A 360 GoPro, 360 camera underneath the bubble bath. All right. Thanks for watching, everyone. We'll see you next week. Bye, everyone.
Bye.